I have a lot of food on my arms.
The horse Solo, who was mistreated and afraid of humans, needed the dentist. He was getting a bit slim, and so, based on prior experience, we decided to call the vet and make his teeth. That's what you are going to see now.
Bien el animal, luego bueno, ahora que se puede. A ver si te deja coger la lengua del patito. El patito, tíralo un poquito. Suelta ya la lengua si quieres. Igual, Huele igual que cuando vas al dentista, ¿eh? No deja de ser el mismo, ¿no? La composición es la composición argentina.
This is Angel's first time using the table saw. Going slow is a smart thing, because it can be pretty dangerous. We have started to cut the pieces for the boxes that we want to insulate and protect from the water with fiberglass, so that on the inside we can install the solenoid valves and also the electric components, so that everything is out of the weather, so that we will have no short circuits and other problems. We had a fire. Now, hold your horses before you write any comment. Listen to what I will explain at the end of this. I should also mention that while working on the irrigation system for the farmyard, we did anticipate things like that to happen at one point. We had a fire before because of a problem with a generator, and the firefighters took more than an hour to arrive, so we need to be prepared. Unfortunately, we weren't done yet, but we had enough in place to put this fire out ourselves. When we are done with our installation of the irrigation system in the farmyard, each location will have two 1-inch pipes that are for high pressure, and they end up in quick couplings, so that we can either hook up something for irrigation or a fire hose with the appropriate nozzle on the end. We also have a powerful pump that takes the water out of a 3000 liter tank, and that tank can be refilled while it is being emptied from another pump that takes the water out of the pond. So we have thought about this in order to be prepared, but sometimes life catches up to you, and so we had a fire before we were done, but we put it out, and I think that is what counts. How did the fire start, you might ask? So it's not because something bad we did. It is apparently a very common problem, and as I could find by searching a little bit on Google, it is something that occurs frequently. And the cause is a DC electrical arc, which is worse than when it comes to alternate current. And this, when it happens, melts the connector. And if there is other flammable material around, then of course the fire spreads, and you see a big problem. The next morning we had one of the very knowledgeable guys from the solar installation company here, and we made a few modifications, that were planned anyway, but we also investigated together the cause of the fire and talked about what we can do to avoid this in the future. And here you can see him creating a connection between two pieces of cable that is also completely waterproof and can be submerged. They do the same thing for pumps that are immersed in the water. So this is an interesting opportunity to learn this technique. And we place the cable out of the way so that we can run chickens in the future dog enclosure to improve the soil and the grass that is in there as a temporary use for the space.
Y ahora le sale como una resina por dentro, que es lo que hace que le cree el sello, además.
This material shrinks under heat, and also some liquid comes out of it, which will then form a seal when it cools. Angel and I actually have a golden opportunity to learn all kinds of methods and techniques that we can then later use ourselves to become more and more independent from outside suppliers who may or may not be responsible. With this company where this gentleman works for, we are lucky because those people are very responsible and also responsive, unlike most others. Step by step, we gravitate towards those who have the correct attitude, like to get things done and be helpful. Now we have a watertight seal on both ends, no water comes in, and therefore the socket will not fail. So the fact that we do irrigate here, sorry for the wind, helps the vetiver here on the right to grow very well. And that is one of the reasons why we irrigate here. Because we want this vetiver to be well established so that later on we have enough roots in the ground to hold moisture for longer. So the roots hold on to the water basically. That is the idea. And I just managed to activate the second line that we had already to get the same effect here. And I'm getting wet where I stand. So now this line also gets irrigated, and it should help the vetiver that is present there as well. In the same way, I stole the first two wobblers for something else and now put them back, and this seems to be holding up with the 7,000 liters per hour pump. We can improve this now that we learned that we need to carry on the 1-inch pipe all the way to the wobbler and reduce at the very moment. So the risers, they should also be 1 inch. They are 3/4, and it is better to go 1 inch all the way to the wobbler and then reduce to 3/4, which is the thread that the diameter of the connection that the wobbler has. So the bigger the diameter all the way to the outlet, the better the flow, the better the pressure. So that's one lesson learned. And here something a bit strange is happening, despite the fact that we irrigate here and keep this around 20% moisture. The tree there isn't looking so good. And the next one and the following one, they even lost their leaves, which is a bit strange. But then on the other hand, it's not a big issue, because right here where this guy sits, a trench needs to go. So this tree would have been in the way in any case. And now looks like he decided to make room. Of course, that's not what we want. We could have made the trench on this side also, but we will see. So we will not take this tree out by force, but maybe relocate this tree or try something else. We will see. But this is where the trench needs to go. The trench that eventually will deliver the grey water to the grey water pond there on the other side from all of the buildings that we have or will have. And over here, I can say that I'm not intending to cut anything down, despite the fact that we have good irrigation. I want to wait out until the rain comes back, or at the very least at 1st of September. I might then risk it. I'm also happy that the Bermuda grass is making seeds. So here in this patch and also in other places where we have it. So I let this definitely finish. And then I come in and start cutting so that we get more biomass. I'm not sure what the status of the beehive there is. We still have some bees that are trying to hold out in the roof there and also on the other side, but their activity has become very low, so I would think it's too hot under the metal roof. And I'm not really sure what the status of this one there is. I do have a suit and I could go there and check it out, but then there's not much I can do, so that information does not really help me. So there is a bee flying around, 2 or 3 actually. You probably can't see that. Maybe I can zoom in. Because this hive, this box, sits in full sunlight, which again might be a big problem, and they might have abandoned this already. This is not the right place, but it was chosen so that they can relocate to a nearby place. The distance between the house and this. So if we want to do something with bees, we need to do this in the right way. Find a nice place in the shade, and then I would love to use these flow hive things from Australia. They seem very interesting. And then we have actual honey. So this was just an emergency thing to get them out of the roof, because there they should not be. So like I said, no cutting for the moment, just irrigation, and I hope that all these plants help to cool down the soil and reduce evaporation. My goal right now is to let the palovnia trees grow as good as possible. And when the temperatures go down, then of course they will also lose their leaves and the cycle starts again in spring. And hopefully next time we don't get frost in early May, because that was the setback that we had. But they're still looking very good, so they have recovered. Not all of them, but those there in the background, they do look very nice, as they should. But then they have not grown as impressively as they usually do within 1 year. So it's less than 2.5 meters per year that they have managed to do.